Use your difference to make a difference.
We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing.
Every story can change the world.
My name is Tsunami, but you will soon see why they call me Slay.
Bobbly, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a character. I'm the guy that brings the joy into the room.
Life will throw you challenges, but it's about how you handle the process that will reveal your true potential.
My journey is to take one Africa to the world.
I'm a tomboy. I like to get down and dirty when I need to.
If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Cover your top before you're born.
Build a team, execute the dream.
I believe sometimes in life you have to create your own opportunity.
My motto in life is simple. Don't worry, be happy.
Hey guys, I'm Buki Lakebade, and welcome back to the African Millennials, the show that brings real talk to everyday issues we face in the Black and African communities. Today on the panel we have Milan, A Crown,
hey,
Tayo,
Ty,
and for our beautiful ladies we have Saname,
Slay,
Miss Cindy Love,
snap.
and Christian.
Yes, Tolode.
So today's topic is something very controversial that we face in the community, and that is of LGBTQ. And does anyone know what that stands for?
Lesbian, bisexual, transgender.
You forgot a G.
G, K, oh, I'll never forget the G. Gay, queer. I have it all over the place, but yeah.
So lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer questions.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Show of hands, who knows anyone who is, who relates to it, who has someone in their family, friends? Great. Has anyone come out to you?
Middle school friends.
Tell me about it.
I was in 7th grade, and my two best friends at the time, 7th and 8th grade, were these two girls. And one day, one of my friends, she always dressed like a tomboy, but that was just a thing that we did. That's why we all got along so good. And she was just like, yo, I'm gay. And I'm like, what? And we're in Miami, so she had girls. 7th grade, yes. It's a culture down there. She had girls. She was a tomboy. She had braids, like, you know, like jewelry, gold. And I was like, why? Because you got gold fronts, you gay now? And she was like, nah, for real, I like girls. And I was like, all right. So then the other friend, she was like, I'm gay too. I'm like, all right. So I guess they looked at me like, I'm like, no, I ain't gay, but we out here. Like, all right, y'all gay, so we just got to mix. Like, what's up? And I thought they were just saying it just to say, but they actually, like, till today, I keep up with them on Facebook, and they're actually they're lesbian. Like, and they knew, you know? And it was just nothing to me. I never had, like, a talk at home where, oh, gay people are like this and that. No, my mom was always just like, people are people. They love who they love, and you just worry about what you're doing. That's just how I was raised.
Did everyone have the same experience?
No. I mean, I've never had anyone come out to me, but growing up for the first few years of my life in Nigeria and from Nigerian culture, it's definitely frowned upon in Nigeria a lot. So for me, when I came and traveled a lot, I started to experience it more, where I would come across friends who were that, and I started asking questions because you couldn't get that necessarily from the culture back home. So yeah, I started to learn that, you know, exactly what Sydney was saying is people do love who they love, but in my context growing up, I think there's a law actually by the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, who actually put out an anti-gay law that if you are gay, you're liable to be sentenced for up to 14 years in jail. So that was kind of what was the predominant culture there. So if it wasn't for me getting exposure, I don't think I would have gotten, out of that mindset actually.
Well, I believe it was 2013, it might have been 2014, one of our former presidents had passed a law that basically could allow people that were gay to spend up to 14 years in jail. So it's not something that's accepted in the community, and it's something that I felt like we needed to bring to light if we are really talking about how to deal with and address the situation under the context of what Africa feels about, a lot of African countries rather feel about the gay community.
So Nami, when was the first time you met or was introduced to a person who relates to that culture?
Damn, I can't, it was when I was young. I can't really, pinpoint when it was. But, I think one of the times that, kind of stood out to me was in high school. I went to fashion industry, so there's a lot of, there were a lot of, LGBTQ people in school. And one thing that I wasn't used to was there was a guy that freshman year, he was a boy. We knew he was gay because he was very flamboyant. He was open about it. But then by senior year, he was a female. And this man was gorgeous. So that was one of the times where I'm just wow, that's different. I see gay people all the time, but to see someone actually go through that transformation, that was one of the ones that was really wow to me. And it was, for where we were, it was accepted. It wasn't so foreign. But when you hang out with Africans or people that are more traditional, it's a different culture.
How so?
It's not as accepting. They're not as accepting as we were. It'll be a similar situation happened with a guy in my neighborhood in Harlem, and everybody was everyone has such a negative tone to it, you're a nigga, stop playing, da 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 da, but in that environment it's different. But in fashion it's okay girl, I see you, but in Harlem it was just what are you doing? So
yes, I think that people in the Black community don't accept being gay that easily, just because I want to say that some of it is because of a fear for the people that are coming out. It's it's hard enough being Black in America. Now you want to add your sexuality to it, and the stigmas with that, and then it's hard enough to have it's hard enough being a Black woman, and then when you add being a Black lesbian person to it, it's just you've been hurt by men, so that's why you're this, or now you want to be a tomboy, you're trying to be a man and you're not. And then being a Black gay person is just, there's not even enough men around, and then you want to be gay on top of that. And it's just so much that goes into just being Black, and then adding being queer or LGBTQ on top of that is just heavy.
Yeah, definitely different subcultures for sure.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Do you think it's harder for men and women of the African American, Black cultures? Do you think it's more difficult for them to come out compared to their white counterparts?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
I would even extend that to not just, I would say that people of color, whether it's people of Arab descent, people of color in general. Yeah. Honestly, I don't think it's just.
Why do you think that?
Because the predominant statement is, if you talk to someone, they would say it's not part of the culture, and that could be under the context of religion, whether it's Islam or Christianity, or it's just something that they've deemed as a Western thing, which is for whether it's true or not. And that's just how it's been. And whenever I go into, because a lot of what I do is focus on diversity and inclusion, and I go into a lot of LGBTQ areas, a lot of what happens is when I'm talking to immigrant families, it's you can't come out to my family, you're going to be ostracized completely from the whole extended family. So there are a lot of implications for that. So sometimes you hide that, and you just grow up thinking, having it trained in you that it's a sin. That if you are this, you have to be prayed out of that, you have to be beaten out of that, or you're going to be burned out of that. So, yeah, I mean, there's just that mindset outside that.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of unjust things happening in the LGBTQ community, because if for the mere fact that you can't be yourself, I think that's a problem. I've tried to liken it to me not being my quirky superhero bad joke loving self, and then being just shunned upon. I mean, I can't imagine going into, having to think about that every day. I mean, the things that I think about as a black person when I'm going to cops, and then adding being a gay person, I just feel like that's a burden that I don't even understand. And I feel like the fact that that exists is something that we need to strive to eliminate. So, that's what I was trying to say with that.
I think it definitely boils down to religion completely, 100%. Because if it weren't for religion, a lot of things wouldn't be so deemed, by society as so wrong and being negative. I think because of religion and the whole we are meant to procreate, that lifestyle, or that I hate calling it a lifestyle. It's not a lifestyle. Kind of it's life. Yeah, but that, is you can't procreate. So it stems from that, and I'm really like, I wish people would take the time to form their own opinions and actually compare things to what society and see, like, am I actually against this because I'm against it, or because everyone else is and they say we should be against it. I think a lot of people don't even take the time to realize a lot of things that they think is wrong. They don't even know or how they really feel about it. They just carrying on
go both ways.
because of religion.
I feel that religion makes it difficult for people to accept the gay sexuality, because religion, there's so many books that have been handed down, rewritten, we ain't gonna get into that, and it says a multitude of things that I feel people use to control not only themselves but to control others. It's used more so as a tool rather than something that's supposed to be like an understanding and an agreement within yourself and whoever you praise. So people use it as a way to persecute others for things that they feel that they read on paper that is right and wrong about life.
I said I could go both ways. I feel like, in the sense of, for people who don't know whether they're against it or not, I feel like it goes both ways for the people who are for it. So I agree with you. Everybody do need to form their own opinion on it. And everybody needs to be honest about it. Whether however they feel about it, if they're against it, be against it. If you're for it, be for it. I'm not for that instance. Like, there's this thing where people want to be politically correct now, and they want to act like they're on the bandwagon. They want to act like they're on the wave, but I feel like you're lying to yourself. If you're not for it, keep it real. If you're for it, keep it real, support it, and stand by it. Don't be, some people want to be like, all right, listen, well, everybody's cool with it now, so I guess I'll be cool with it. Then, all right, next couple of years, what if nobody cool with it? You're not going to be cool with it no more? That's
So
how.
are you cool with it?
Am I cool with it? Well, if I give it, to be real with you, I really don't care. I'll be 100. Like, you know what I'm saying? I always said to myself, if he want to be with her, he want to be with him, then be with him. If she want to be with she, then be with she. But the only issue I have is when it's becoming a fight, it's becoming a war. Like, it has been weighed down upon people to accept it. Right. Yeah, they have to accept it.
So you're saying, be you, just don't shove it down my throat.
Yeah, it's cool. Go ahead, do what you gotta do. Because like I said, like everybody said, I know a lot of gay people. I was on a dance team. Well, one of the friendliest dudes was a gay dude. Like, chatted up with him. I didn't get into his business. I didn't really care what he was doing. I just felt like, if that's what you want to do, nobody could stop you. But we're turning it into like a war, whereas they feel like the whole world is
That's so
against them.
accepted, yeah.
And the whole world doesn't want to see, like, you have to understand, we're in America, we're in a country where you're allowed to do whatever you want. So the fight shouldn't be within in America. And I feel like more people should be honest about it. If you for it, explain why you for it. If you against it, explain why you're against it. Maybe we could come to a middle ground where we can understand one another. You understand? That's how I feel about it.
It's almost in a way becoming bullying, where it's like if you don't agree with it or if you don't accept it, you're this, you're that. You should be alienated now. Now it's reverse. It's like it's kind of reversing in a way. It's like a couple of years ago, people despised it. You know, I get it. Now all of a sudden it's like if you despise it now, you're the bad guy. But I want people to understand that not everybody that doesn't accept it, it's not like they're a bad person, they just don't understand it. You have to bring them into that understanding. And to people that don't accept it, don't mean they're gonna discriminate against you, it just means that they just don't agree with it. That's like, it's completely different. So I want people to understand that it's not like, oh, okay, they don't agree with it, then, you know, I guess they hate us all, like they just hate us, and it's like, no, that's not the case at all.
I know what LGBT means, but the Q, can you explain that?
Queer questioning.
What is that?
Queer questioning. So queer questioning is basically like when you're growing up and, you know, hormones are raging and, you know, maybe you're like, why is that guy so cute? And you're like, maybe, and then you're like, nah. That's kind of queer questioning. It's like if you don't, you're still trying to weigh out what exactly it is that you want. So you're neither here nor there. You're still questioning and seeing where you can go.
It's basically when you haven't decided yet. So, you know, you could be someone who's always gone towards the opposite sex, and then you notice, oh, maybe this person's kind of cute. Maybe this maybe. I feel like that's what queer question is. You're questioning your sexuality. Maybe you may have feelings for someone of the same sex that these feelings came out of nowhere. Queer questioning.
If I'm doing all my LGBTQ friends justice by answering that question.
I think that makes sense. That's a good explanation.
I did have one question, and it's to your point. So you mentioned it, but I felt like that was under the lens of United States. Mm-hmm. So it's being that all of us here from African descent, and we are some way connected to Africa, where it's not as easy to come out. Mm-hmm. And if you come out, you do face economic and financial and any of that. My question is just curious here is, do you feel like we need to make sure that we help our gay and lesbian sisters so that they are treated as equal members of the community and not ostracized?
Yeah, I agree with that, because at the end of the day, despite whatever you do, you're still a human being.
Yep.
And if we want to bring God into it, whether you believe or whether we feel as God doesn't agree with it or not, God sees all of us as human beings, and He wants us to treat us all the same. Now, in Nigeria, the situation with Africa is that I understand that a lot of them do get punished for that,
or killed,
and I disagree with that, because that's like, all right, you're taking it to a whole new level.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna stop. If your plan was to ever stop the movement, you're not stopping nobody. You're just only making people want to hide it. Now, like I said before, my thing is, there was an issue where America was trying to have Nigeria pass the law for the gay, marriage in Nigeria, and they were going to withdraw their hands off of, Nigeria's affairs if they didn't accept it, or if they didn't. Now, my problem with that is, back to it, don't force it. Don't make it a war. Let's not turn it. Now, yeah, I do believe that they deserve the same rights as anybody else. Just like any other race would probably be in Nigeria, and they deserve the same rights as anybody else.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and I don't think it's a war. I think as humans, we do have responsibility to make sure that equality is something that is shared by anyone. And maybe it's just because I tend to be an activist, but I'm not saying that you should force someone, but if you see something that's unjust, I do believe that you should call it out and do your best to make sure that it's not. Okay.
Sorry to cut you off. She seems like she's percolating.
In that aspect, America needs to worry about America. This country tends to poke its nose into things, situations that mind your business. Like, what? You're gonna pass a law? You don't know, Nigerians are stubborn. And pass the law now. What is it?
And
Like,
also,
how are you gonna force?
I don't think they're ready.
And at the end of the day, like Nigeria, before they were colonized and the Europeans came, we had our own beliefs. We didn't have religion and spirituality.
culture.
So had it not been for the brainwashing of religion, maybe things would have been accepted. So how are you gonna come back and now you be like, you know what, actually, this is, you guys should allow it. After you done brainwashed the country for how many centuries now actually, no, mind your business, all right? You guys have done enough Western inputs. Now this is where they're at. That's where they're at.
I personally feel like Africans had their own faith, their own spiritual beliefs, you know, back to Oshun and all the goddesses and deities. And when the Westerners, if that's what you want to call them at that time, came to Africa and gave Africans religion, you know, like it brainwashed them. They completely, well, for the most part, let go of all their spiritual beliefs and just picked up what was given to them. And then now, because I feel like Africans are such intense people, like with anything, with education, like very intense people, that now they hold these religions so dearly that you wouldn't even dare, you know, step out of what they think. Oh, it's in the book. It's in the book. Well, the Bible says, well, the Quran says. And now that they're at this point, now people are like, oh, Africans hate gays. Africans this and gays. They don't like gay people. They kill gay people. Well, I mean, like I said, if people take the time to sit down and think about certain things, I, you know, took the time. I'm like, okay, it's obvious that, you know, the gay sexuality is not widely accepted in Africa. Why? And then when I really took an educated, you know, moment to look at the timeline of things, I'm like, well, you know, I honestly think if religion wasn't, I don't want to say forced, but forced upon these people, or forced anyway in general, they might have formed their own opinion down the line, you know? So now they're at a point where they hold everything in the Bible so dearly, and then the same people who introduced religion are coming back and saying, actually, you guys should be like this now. They're like, what? Why? You know?
I think that, like, the way America got to its stance on agreeing with, passing laws, it took years. I don't think Africa is ready
as a continent.
Because at the end of the day, whether you pass a law or not, if in this village we kill people that are gay, we're still gonna kill people that are gay.
That's not what. Yes. I feel like when Akron talked about the American government trying to influence Nigeria to change its laws, I feel like that's a little bit too drastic. The people themselves don't even understand what being LGBTQ is. They don't understand. They don't even talk about what being LGBTQ is. So for you to try to impose that on the government, I feel like rightfully you'll have a big outlash, like, because we don't get it, and you're gonna pull your dollars because we don't want this. This is our culture. So I feel like the way to kind of introduce that, or to kind of start bringing it up, is to start having conversations about this so people can understand what's going on, instead of just trying to be like, bring big government and force people to do things that they're just not used to. They don't even understand.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not going to take time. I'm saying that a stance that I am firmly against is the idea that it's the way it is and it's going to take time. I feel like there are enough of us who know that some people are gay, some people are lesbian, and it's just a way of life, and we can do enough to raise awareness about that in the community.
But we can do that community-wise, but I don't think it's our job to force the hands of the government.
Force,
but that was the.
That was America's goal.
That's what happened.
I feel like we're getting misconstrued. I'm saying the whole American-Nigeria thing is not. I'm saying my only point here is that I don't want us to get into the slippery slope where I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing. There are people that do need help. People that can't function as they are, as people. And if there are people that can't function as they are, and they've known since they were kids, I feel like, as humans and Africans, we need to do better by our brothers and sisters.
Okay, but you're also talking about
we here living in the United States, right? I feel like we have been open to like a whole new different world of a sort. Like coming here before I moved into this country, and my parents never, even till today, like it's not something my dad ever talks to me about. Oh, they're lesbian people, they're gay people. It's not even a thing, you know, until like I moved here, and I'm very indifferent about it because it's never been spoken about to me about it. Like, you know, for me, I'm very indifferent because it's like, oh, I guess that's what people do here. It's a thing. No, honestly, that's how I came to know about.
Yeah, growing up, my parents never spoke to me about, you know, being gay, what that kind of sexuality meant, what it was. It was just never a topic that was discussed. But then again, we never discussed anything. So I guess, like, we never discussed anything sensitive. Even regular, I guess the birds and the bees talk. That didn't really happen either. So, yeah, I mean, it's just something I think that I just saw, you know, when I moved here in school, and I just kind of had to like learn on my own through friends and just, I guess, media.
No, but it's not like an American thing. That's what I'm saying.
It's not an American.
Gay is an American thing.
Hold on. It's not that it's an American thing, but it's more put in awareness here in America. It's more in the light. Like you see it in schools, you see it on the trains. And it's not something that I saw growing up. You know what I mean? So I'm more used to it now. I see it more. And yeah, maybe it's in medias here and there, but the African community back home, like my friends, they're not experiencing what I'm experiencing with the whole LGBT community.
I think that I'm saying we should do our best to help that exposure, because this attitude of not doing anything is not going to help.
Wait a minute. So that's the question, because you guys are saying, you know, America should stay out of it. You know, but here's the thing: if you're expecting, you know, whether it's Nigeria, Uganda, whoever, the entire African continent to come to this realization of equality and acceptance, if you never knew what that was, you're in your bubble of, you know, we're going to stone them, we're going to hang them. How do you expect them to get to that realization?
That's going to take a while.
Sorry, hold on. My thing is, I believe that it should be like, it should be exposed to people first. Like,
how?
Go to the communities, go to the villages, talk to them, educate them before you bring the government into it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you have to start on a small scale. Like, let those people in those villages that usually kill people understand that, listen, this is this. People, these are the people, like, expose them to it before you go to the government.
But that's what I was saying.
Try to take away
the only thing I was arguing against was the fact that I'm going to let people do what they would. I'm saying we need to do more to help that exposure. That's what I'm saying. I feel
like it's an American thing or it's a foreign thing. The reason why I'm saying this is, like, growing up in Africa, like, even though we know about it, but we don't really talk about that. Plus, we don't experience that. Like, you can see a guy and a guy holding it. Like, when I was back home, I don't care, like, holding his hands or, like, shaking him and then walking on the street. Like, because we don't really think about it. Okay, good. So when I first came to America, like, one of my friends that we grew up together, and then we were walking, and then, you know, I held his hand, and he was like, he hit me, he was like, no, we don't do this here. I was like, what is wrong with this? Like, people think we gay. You understand what I'm saying? So now it started creating awareness to me. I was like, okay. And then I was like, okay, so, and it took me a minute to process it, and then when I started seeing it, and another friend came from Africa right after, he started holding, I was like, no, we don't do this here. You understand what I'm saying? So it's more like a foreign thing, but now I'm kind of used to that life. Even when I go back home, I wouldn't let somebody hold me, because and then secondly, let me say, like, people in Africa, do you know that people in Africa claim even they're not gay, they claim they are gay when they come to America just to acquire a stay? That should tell you it's an American thing, because if people can come through the back door and then say, oh, I'm this, and then I can go back home, and then America will accept them and then give them the rights. Like, people are taking advantage of this situation. Like, people taking advantage.
You know what truly bothers me? I'm gonna keep it 100. What really truly bothers me? I wish America cared about black people the way they care about the LGBTQ. I really wish they did. Because in all honesty, I understand the struggle that the LGBTQ community went through. You understand the being alienated and all of that. I understand that, but at the same time, they didn't go through the same struggle as black people has went through in this country. But America's fighting their battle so hard, and it makes me question a whole lot of things. I have a lot of questions. I'm like, why y'all fighting their battle so hard? I mean, to be real with you, they better off. They better off than we are.
When I said that, I meant that. I didn't mean that in a literal term. When I said that they're good already, I didn't mean it in a literal term. I meant it in a sense of they're better off than what they were a couple of years ago. They're better off than even the black community. They're better off. That's what I meant. They're good. They're better off. So in that sense, I also feel like they're fighting for more and more and more and more and more. Now they're like, there was even a rumor like that they wanted to have the gender neutral bathrooms, where I feel like whatever you identify with, unless you really are, unless you have a complete sex change and you are really the gender you identify with, then I guess you can go into the girls' bathroom if you are a complete girl. And if you did a complete change and you're a boy, then go into the boys' bathroom. Like, it's starting to turn into a point where they're trying to have everything separated for themselves. It's like really getting to a point where it's like, all right, this is kind of getting out of hand now. So,
is it all gay people or just the white part?
Intersectionality.
I'm
gonna let you know something.
Because I gotta tell you guys something. I felt real foolish. This like later on in life. I did not know racism existed within the gay community. I honestly did not know. I thought everyone was together. I thought it was a whole big party, waving flags, and it's a whole different thing. So,
well, yeah, when I mentioned the whole racism within the LGBTQ community, you know, I felt like such a dunce because I didn't realize this until late, like probably 21, 22, when I was really exposed to the gay culture, you know, started, you know, getting some gay and lesbian friends. And, you know, one friend of mine, she's a black woman, and we were just having a conversation, and she was like, yeah, and, you know, there's some bars I can go into and some bars I can't. I was like, I don't understand. What do you mean? And she was like, yeah, because, you know, those are mainly for white people. And I was like, why are you whispering? But I had no idea, because my thought is, but, you know, my thought was that, you know, how can there be discrimination within an already discriminated sector? But I mean, that is the same thing for, you know, the African American community or the black community, how there's Africans against black Americans, how there's, you know, classism within the black community. So, you know, I just felt like such a dunce because I didn't realize that things like that could happen, because at the end of the day, you know, homeboy Wisconsin still thinks you're all going to hell, whether you're black or white. You're, into their eyes, you're a homosexual and you're nothing. So that's why I didn't understand it. So
I think that I don't know if it's like a reason why like LGBTQ it's like it's harder being in that community is harder, and being of color, because not only are you struggling
as a black
to
person,
be black or to be a person of color, but then you add your sexuality to it, and it just makes it like a double battle to fight. So like for me, it's two things. It's that, and then it's also like the fact that somebody touched upon religion, and I don't like the fact that sexuality is put on a pedestal as like the sin of all sins.
But it's there. Like we've read about it. We've read
about it. It's everywhere. But at the end of the day, there are other things. Like, I shouldn't be, if I'm gay, I'm not on an express train to hell but you've killed somebody and you're like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's not a great sin.
It's not, like, let's be equal when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. And let's not put one thing against the other. Like, I get it. Like, it's just not the same. I just want to like put that out there.
It's not. But I think that people have just taken that and ran with it.
Of course.
As a thing of kind of like, not just are you that you're sinning, but almost like you're letting down a whole community as a sort. It's like they put the weight of the future on your back.
My thing is, how does it concern you if someone else's decision? It's not disturbing you. It doesn't do anything to affect your life. It doesn't hinder you. Why are people so concerned with someone else's sexuality? Like, that is the big question that I have. Like, okay, your religion, okay, mind your business and pray to your religion, but what makes me happy have to do with you? Why are you persecuting me? Why are you coming after me? Like, my love life, what does that have to do with it? That's the big problem that I have. Like, people are really obsessed with.
I think it's just one of those things where I think it's one of those things where like I'm also indifferent to it as long as, again, you don't shove it down people's throats. Like, if you like, everybody should be entitled to do whatever they want to do in the bedroom. That's you. But when it's like, you have to accept this, or you have to do this, or you have to do that, that's when it becomes like, now you're trying to change culture. Now you're trying to like make it a thing.
Change my beliefs.
Change my beliefs.
So do you think America is the other extreme, whereas Africa there's really nothing going on, and then here it's too much? Do you think there's an also extreme to it?
I think
yeah.
Example,
like,
how has it been shoved down anyone's throat? If anyone has an example.
So, okay. Right. So I don't know.
They want to put it in kids' books,
and that's another reason why people
like
aren't accepting of it, even though they may not know someone, they may buy whatever about it, but they think it's degrading the moral compass of the entire world, really. But that's why they're not.
So my thing is like,
they feel it's degrading the moral compass.
Right. So like,
what is the moral compass of the whole world?
Well, if you're a Christian, they think the moral compass is the Christian compass. If you're a Muslim, you think it's the Muslim compass.
Which means that there is no one moral compass.
It's individual. It's individual. As far as I know, it's individual.
Okay.
Right. So, for example, when they put Gaston's flunky in The Beauty and the Beast, that he was gay, huge uproar because you're exposing our children. This is degrading our values, and that's the reason why they won't stay in their corner and let it be.
I want people to understand something, that I don't want to only put religion on the category of groups that don't accept it. There's also the community and the culture, because the thing about it was, because I researched these things, I like check it out, and another thing is that what it was is that there's cultures, they don't even include God, they don't even believe in God, that they feel like it's a natural order of things, I believe, and they feel like it kind of separates and messes up the natural order of things. That's why it's not Scientology. It's way far.
I'm trying to see what is it called then.
No, not even close to Scientology. Not even in that realm. I don't even know how they feel about it, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's where the whole problem is. Now you have people who are scared to even be like, oh well, I don't know if I support it, because they're gonna get shot down. That's where the America falls into the extremist of things. And then you have people who are like, it's cool, like ain't no problem with it. You need to do what you want to do. So you have to, just like you want people, and we need people to accept human beings for who human beings are. Now I may have a best friend who has 2 girlfriends. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm gonna be like, nah, bro, you shouldn't really, be doing that. That's not how you should be rolling, because that's too harsh into your hand. But I'm never going to feel like he's less of anything else just because he's doing that on his own, and that's his side. And it could be vice versa on, the other side. So I feel like just as we want people to accept it, we also have to accept the people who may not accept it, but they're willing to come down to a compromise. That's how I feel about that.
I want to touch on 2 things. This was brought up earlier. I want to address the fact that there's something called intersectionality. That's the fact that you can be gay, black, or a person of color. So I'm not for the movement where we only fight for one cause and we eliminate another. I want us to fight for all the causes at the same time, because like you brought up, Tsunami, there are many people to deal with several layers. And to say that one is one that we should not fight for as much, I don't think that does any good for us.
I feel like the problem is, I feel like if we did fight for human rights, we wouldn't be having this
No, but that's my
conversation.
point. But that's
You
the whole
understand?
point I'm bringing up. So that's what I'm saying, and the fact that we can't get into this us versus them type
I
of
don't
thing.
want to ignore that. I don't
It's
wanna
not
ignore
ignoring.
Nah,
I'm
you
saying.
know why? Because when you do that, the thing about it is, people love to do this. They love to take the black rights movement and put it on another pedestal or compare it to something else. As soon as you bring
You're
up-
comparing it.
No. I'm saying that's why this whole thing even started, because it was compared. Now, the civil rights movements for black people started way back when. Now, gay, the LGBT, I'm gonna say it wrong, but they were like, all right, yeah, this is a good idea. We should do this too. And it was like, all right, cool, y'all do that. I guess we both won't be fighting for our rights. Cool. They ran past us, got theirs. Which is cool.
There's no cool. But there are people that are colored, people that are black that are gay as well. I'm saying we should, if we are falling and failing as a society to represent our black people, which I do full-heartedly agree with, we need to do better by our black brothers, but not just eliminate, just like, because it's not a competition.
No, it's not eliminating.
It's not a competition
It's
to.
not eliminating. I'm just saying that the focus is way. It's like the focus is taken away. Like they're good already.
Then we need to.
They're
good already.
Yes, people are focusing on the LGBTQ community, and in a weird way, not even like the focus is not even on black people, and like Tyler was saying, he was trying to tell me that we should level the playing field, like we shouldn't ignore it. And I'm saying, we shouldn't compare and make it competitive. I'm like, it is competitive. We don't have to make it. I don't have to do it. It's already competitive, because the truth of the matter is, when I first said that, I meant that in the sense that America, as a country, even through media, cares more about that community, cares about the LGBTQ community way more than they care about the black community. Now, I don't want to even compare the struggles, because what black people have gone through in this country, America, I don't even think I should compare the struggle at all. Like, they've been through hell. So, and they were fighting for their rights for a long time, and still fighting, still struggling.
They're better off. They're better off. They're better off than they were.
I don't want to say they're good already, because there's people that still get killed on their way home because they choose to be transgendered or they choose to be something.
These are real issues.
Like, we as black people, it's more that the institutions are targeting us. You may get killed by a cop for being black. If a transgendered person might get killed by another human being, a regular civilian, killing
so we
them
can't forget
because
everyone.
they don't agree with what they are. So I don't want to say they're good already.
No one's good.
In certain industries, yes, they dominate. But as a whole, in
They're
society,
definitely-
I can't say they're good
I
already.
can't say that. And I don't want to say that.
You could say white LGBTQ people are on another
they get killed too.
level, because, like, let's be real, you go to a restaurant, your waiters will probably be really good looking LGBT, like, or they in certain industries, like being gay or being queer is something that it's a little bit more like acceptable.
Real quick, because you guys are saying we need to champion everything and do it all together.
I think both of us are saying that.
How do you do that when we didn't start on a level playing field to begin with?
There is no. This level playing field is very confusing to me, because there are people of color that are also gay. It's not like it's just the black thing and just the gay thing. You can.
I'm talking about human rights.
They're human beings.
I'm talking about.
You can't. There's no.
We're all 7 of us are black. So already we have huge hurdles to get over, and then add on top of the fact that you might be lesbian, gay, transgender, queer, question. Another. I'm just saying, how do you balance? How do you juggle both? And is there enough time? Is there enough resources? Is there enough love in the world to get us all up to where we need to be?
We need to do better.
I think that, to come back to Akron's point, is like, if we can, as a society, fight for human rights, that eliminates so many things. If I could be a female and be treated as equally as a man, if I could be, like, once we get the human rights part down, we can champion a lot more, but it's a thing that the human rights are not there, and it's not even systematic. Like there are no human rights for us. So for me, that's the thing. Like I feel like what one of the things that Akron is trying to say is that we forget the human rights and we fight for gay rights sometimes. Not all the time.
I'm saying that's not what I was hearing.
That's what I heard.
You see, because
it should be something that is done internally, because you see, okay, everybody's accepting everybody. Okay, now I identify myself as this. I know that because I live in an accepting world, then people are going to accept me. I feel like that's where we should start the conversation, with human rights, and then get into sexuality.
See, because what I initially, this is why I want you to clarify, is when you said they're good already, the thing that I got from that is like, oh, we don't need to worry about gay rights anymore. Now we need to focus on this. I'm saying we need to focus on every right, because as humans,
He agrees, but he feels like those rights are being fought for.
But then how you say, what does your good already mean?
I don't know. I didn't agree with the good already thing.
What does that mean? How's that?
I didn't say they're good already, but
When I said they're good already, right? We're talking about even in the system. Yes. They have it better off than.
They have laws that protect them.
Yes, they have a community for themselves. You dare not hire somebody. It may not be because they're gay. It just be like, you know what, I don't feel like they're right for the job. But if they take it to HR, I'll be like, you know what, they didn't want to hire me because
And when I said that, I was just like, in a sense of like, yo, we just everybody out here trying to fight their battle and fight their war. And I'm like, yo, Black people, they're not even getting that type of love and that type of fight. What you could do to a Black man on the street, you dare not do it to anyone a part of the community. And it's just kind of funny to me. It's like can we help, can we watch out for the Black people too? Can we show them love? And the same thing goes for even like straight female, like women. Like it's just like, y'all fighting for these, y'all ignore other groups that are suffering, but y'all more focused on this group that kind of so far is actually doing way better than they were a couple of years ago. So,
you as a Black man, that's why I want you to look at it as a perspective of, look, you're a threat. You're a threat. They don't see, the American government doesn't see, because I'm gonna say it wrong again. The LGBT. Because I'm gonna miss a letter. I know I'm gonna miss a letter. Because the Q was just added. The Q was just added recently. So I've been saying like, but yeah, they're not a threat. Like they don't view them as a threat. And although the society may see them as aliens, but they're not viewed as.
No one's arguing that. The only thing that I'm glad you clarified on is that I don't want us to ever say one cause is good already, so let's just leave that.
When I heard Akron say they were good already, it was we were talking about the African American civil rights movement, and comes in, I guess, in conjunction with the LGBTQ movement. And his context or his response to me at that point was, well, they're good already. They already have all the rights, and we're still suffering. And my thing was, I agree that a lot of stuff that goes on is definitely systemic and affects us, but we shouldn't be at a place where we're saying one movement is good already, because that's not true, first of all, in my opinion. And if that's the case, we need to make sure that we do better as a society to work in concert to make every underrepresented person and every persecuted person feel like they're heard and seen. So, yeah, I just didn't feel comfortable saying anyone was good already, because I don't think it's true, and I also don't think it's our place to say that a movement is at a comfortable position where we can stop. So that was what I was responding to.
Right. For example, like let's say in a work field, and then you dare not, make fun of, even if you're the manager, you dare not make fun of someone who is like gay, even if it's like a joke, or even because this scenario, like I have this scenario, it was like still like playing in my head. Like there was this lady, she got like her hair done in a nice way, like, but I don't know, I think she cut this side or whatever. She got fired. But when a gay guy did that, he didn't get fired for the same style. That should tell you that they are on a different level.
I just feel uncomfortable speaking for a gay person as a straight person. I just it's not something. Look, You and I have had conversations off the show. We know how we both agree that we need to do a lot of stuff for African Americans as a whole. My mom has to think about me going every time she calls me every night. That's a real danger. Philando Castile's a guy just got off without any violation or anything. He was just convicted. Philando Castile's manslaughter. The guy that killed it, the cop that killed it.
What if it was a gay person he killed?
We can't. This is what I'm saying. I can't do that. We can't come.
No, I'm not.
Tayo, like.
You really know the answer to that question?
Let's be honest.
I don't know the answer to the question, but I also don't want you to dismiss the fact that
No one's dismissing institutionalization. I'm saying we shouldn't limit any. We can't say, look. I just prefaced the whole thing by saying there is a system against minorities, particularly black and brown brothers and sisters. Okay. I've said that. And the next thing, that's a very factual thing. There's not, and then went on to argue and show you evidence with the Philando Castile situation to show that that's something that's perpetuated. Okay. What I followed that up with was, I cannot make the opinion of what would happen if a gay or lesbian or transgender person was in that situation, because I don't want in any way to limit what they're going through. Look, the thing that I agree with you on is that this is a human rights issue, right? And I think that we should never lose sight of that as a society. So if we're fighting for equality, we're fighting for black brothers, sisters, we're fighting for lesbian, gay, transgender, queer, and curious individuals, and we're making sure that we're doing that in concert. It's not, I don't want to ever get into this trap where we say, someone is this, so I'm not going to do that. That's what I'm saying.
All right, well, we've talked about so many things. I feel like we can go on for hours, but I want to go around the room and, last thoughts is what you're feeling, any advice, any sort of words that you would give out there to your LGBTQ brothers and sisters. Sn1.
I would just say, be yourself. One thing that we didn't get to touch on was the whole idea of all these labels and all these titles that we give to sexualities and genders and all of these things. I feel like if we're really gonna be people, we should just be people and leave the labels out of it. Because once you add labels, now you're creating subcategories and subcategories and subcategories, and you're cisgendered and I'm this gendered and I'm that gendered, and it's everything is getting a lot more complicated. So just be yourself, be who you are, accept people. You don't have to, and I feel like, I don't know if I can speak for LGBTQ people, but be open to questions, because people want to understand. And if people want to ask you, we're not asking so we can judge you. We're asking so we can know, because I don't understand what you're going through. So if I ask, be open to share so that we can all understand each other.
Miss Love?
It's just really none of my business. As long as it's not children and animals, do you. It's really none of my business.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel.
Christian?
I just say, live your truth, Be happy. Just be happy.
Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry.
Be
just
happy.
Be happy.
My thing is this. I think as a society we're too comfortable with being comfortable, and we don't like to admit that there are several situations where we can actually use our voices to make an impact. So whether it's with race, as you brought up, Crown, or LGBTQ community, the context of this conversation, us being Africans diaspora, the way I took it relates to a lot of Africans, African brothers and sisters. Many of them don't get to exercise freedom. Many of them are ostracized for being who they are. And I feel like many of us listening or watching here on this table should take responsibility to be a voice for these people, to call out some of the inequality that's been there, to call out some of the education systems that promote false ideologies, and to basically say, we see you, we're here with you, and you don't have to change for anyone. So that's what I hope anyone listening goes away with, and say, how can I be an ally, how can I help, and how can I make sure that your rights are being safeguarded?
Paper.
Milan? What's up?
Right.
Well, you know, something I said to myself a while ago was like, be yourself and let God take care of everything else. And I also want to say to the, say it slowly with me, LGBTQ community. Sometimes it's an I. T-I too. That not everybody is against you. That you have to be aware that there are people that won't accept it, and you have to be okay with the fact that some people may accept it, and you have to embrace the people inside by the people that do accept it, and that yeah, and treat everybody else like they're humans. You feel me? Like everybody else is a human, and you know, we only gotta let God take care of what needs to be taken care of. So,
Milan. All right, so I just feel like if you really feel like you are an LGBTQ person,
got it right.
I got it right. Just do you. Do not like feel like people would judge you, but then at the same time be nice. Because most of the gay people I've met are really, really nice. Like they're like the most nicest people. So continue being nice, and do not take advantage of the fact that gay people have power and then bully other people or, you know, get something out of it. Just be you, pray, and just be nice.
You?
Well, I mean, I would just have to say to, you know, everyone out there listening that, you know, we are 7 straight people sitting on a stage, so we don't know everything that you're going through. We don't know how this has affected you mentally, physically, spiritually. We don't know. All we can do is give our opinion and try to understand where you're coming from. And, you know, just from us being on this stage, it means that, you know, we're trying to understand. We want to listen. We want to see you. No judgment, no condemnation. We are standing with you in your pursuit and what you do. And, you know, everyone out there, from, you know, the friends I have to even some family members, whatever you feel you need to do, whatever you feel you want to do, you can do it. And I would just say, for everyone not in the West, not in the United States, you know, be careful, be true to who you are, but know your surroundings, find your tribe, whoever it is that can support you, do what, you know, be your person to get through this life, because, you know, I can't do it alone. We can't do it alone. No one can do this journey alone. You know, it was my first day hosting, so I was a little nervous, but I thought, and, you know, for the topic that we had, I thought it was gonna get a little crazy, or either it was gonna get too crazy or no one was gonna say anything. But I thought everyone brought great points. Everyone brought their A game today, I feel, in terms of their opinions, in terms of their own understanding, personal experiences. So, you know, job well done to the panelists, because they killed it. That's all I have to say about that. Like I said, this topic could go on forever, but that is it. Thank you to the panelists for joining us.
You're welcome.
Another great topic. And for all of us at the African Millennials, we will see you another time.
Thanks for watching. And if you liked this episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you next time.